All right, guys, what is going on? Today's Thursday, and the question is, what is the best way for Brazilians to get to the US? O-1 or EB-2 NIW? And you guys might think that why would you even compare these two visas? They're kind of a different approach for both of them. But don't rush. Don't rush with the conclusions. I'm going to explain today why I believe that not only these two visas could be compared, but these are two options that are really available for Brazilians and everybody else in the world. Okay? First of all, let's have a little dive into history. And you guys may have heard sometime in the past about EB-2 NIWs for pilots. And not everybody knows that these things started in Brazil, right? A lot of pilots in Brazil were misled to get the EB-2 NIWs, the green cards, based on the shortage of pilots in the US, especially during the COVID. So as it turned out, sometime later, that it was done intentionally by unlicensed immigration consultants, okay? And it was done so profoundly good, that scam, basically. Scheme is a light word. The scam was done pretty professional. The scale of that was huge, that even some attorneys believed that. Okay, I wasn't the one, but I was getting, and I'm still getting the EB-2 NIWs for pilots. Okay, and regardless, Brazil, Norway, other countries, but it couldn't be done just based on the shortage of the pilots and the attachment to the country. Okay. So you guys remember that, right? All forums, all Twitter and Facebook, everybody were discussing this topic. Okay, if you're a pilot and if you're from Brazil, you're gonna get the green card. So a lot of people lost a lot of money, okay, and a lot of time too. So not to say that a pilot cannot get EB-2 NIW, but there must be more than just simply being a pilot. Okay, that's just a little bit of history. So let's continue warming up. Let's see what kind of approvals we got for the past week. So fresh approval arrived today, guys. EB-1A for talented IT specialist from Russia. So we were filing for 7 criteria: press, association, judging the work of other professionals, scientific publications, contribution in the industry, critical role, and the commercial success. 7 criteria. Was slam dunk case, got approved right away. We also got EB-1A for a scientist from Kyrgyzstan. Okay, she's PhD in economics. Really weird case, guys. We always get approvals for scientists. I don't have a single denial for a scientist. With this particular case, a very strong case, we filed the first time and the officer just disregarded almost everything. All right, so it was weird because she has more than 10 books. Okay, just this alone. This is crazy. So we refiled the second time, got approval right away. We got E2 approved for our client from Hungary. Okay, and it's a businesswoman. Guys, you know me. I love when we have approvals for business women. Okay, businesswomen. Why? Because it's much harder for women to be successful in business. Okay, so her business in the US is the Italian restaurant. Okay, you guys love Italian food? I love it. I love the mussels in fried diavolo sauce or scangili. So good, so good. We also got EB-5 approved for passive investment. Okay, there was some difficulty with the case. We got an RFE. We responded to it successfully. So that's the EB-5 case, 800,000 investment. We also got EB-1A for talented software developer from Kazakhstan. Okay, also 7 criteria. Good case, filed it. You guys know USIS love IT people, so no problem. Got it approved. Another O-1 for businessman from Russia. 6 criteria. His own company is his own employer. No problem. Got it approved. Let me see. Okay, yes. So a bunch of approvals, guys. Really good, fruitful week. So let's see what you guys get to say. Yegor is asking, hi Stanislav, hi Yegor. How many EB-1 visas USS has received to complete employment-based quota for this fiscal year? Because the consular process for EB-1A were finished a week ago. I'm in reserve for adjustment of status. We do not know yet. We do not know yet because usually the statistics comes later on, probably the beginning of 2025 we will know. So definitely more than the quota is, right? Than the limit for these visas is. But remember, same thing happened last year. All right. So last year it was even worse. We got the visa bulletin in August for September already with 1 month backlog for EB-1A. But, and of course, last year I said that don't worry guys, once we go through the fiscal year, which is the end of September, so October 1st should be good. And there we go, the fresh visa bulletin for October, wiped the backlog and we were good, okay? So guys, don't worry about your EB-1As. Okay, and by the way, even though and I think it was Department of State, it wasn't the USCIS who said that they ran out of the visas, okay, which doesn't really happen too often, right? So Department of State deals with embassies, so they said, okay, for embassies, stop, no more visas as of right now, but it doesn't mean that USCIS cannot issue the visas. All right. So technically, if you have approval of EB-1A and you are in the US right now, you can file 485, the adjustment of status, and they're gonna accept it. They're gonna accept it because the current visa bulletin is current, so they will accept it, and technically they cannot give you the green card yet. But of course, it never happens within a month. It's going to take up to 12 months to issue the green card. So by the time it's time to get that green card, the visa bulletin is very likely going to be current. All right. So don't rush. Don't stress out. It's a temporary thing. Usually it's a temporary thing. Okay. If history is of any indication of that, and we have only history, you never know, right? But I predict that once September is over, things are gonna get back to normal, all right? But guys, think about larger implications of this. Just think of it. I always bang on the table. Once you know that you can proceed with your immigration petition, do not postpone it. Regardless of what's happening in the world, the war started, the backlog began, your kids got sick, doesn't matter. Those things do matter, but it doesn't matter for the purpose of immigration. Do it, and do it now, okay? If you can. Of course, sometimes you cannot, but if you can, do it now. Why? Because of those things. Something will change, the quota is gonna run out, you're gonna run out of the money, they're gonna increase the fees, whatever happens, okay? So don't mess it up. Don't mess this up, okay? Act once you can do this. All right, so let's discuss O-1 and EB-2 NIW. And question number one, Stanislav, how can you even compare EB-2 NIW when you have to propose some kind of idea that will be in the national interest of the United States of America, and O-1, which is a talent visa where we need to prove at least 3 criteria out of the 6 or 8, depending on if it's O-1A or O-1B. So it appears that those things are uncomparable. And I do agree with that. However, if you look deep into these visas, you may find some comparison, some similarities. Okay, you can. And let me explain. So, when do we have to file for O-1 visa? And guys, watch the way I phrase the sentence. When do we have to do this? Meaning that we cannot do anything else. We're kind of pressed or pushed to file for O-1. Three options, 3 ways to explain that. So number one, we have to file for O-1 when we cannot file for anything else. Okay? We don't have enough evidence for EB-1A. We don't have yet enough evidence for EB-2 NIW or any other visa, E2, L1, whatsoever. So that happens a lot. Among 3, this one is the most popular. Number two, we have to file for O-1 when a client gives me a task to come to the US as soon as possible. So, regardless if we have EB-1A or EB-2 NIW, which could be approved, we use O-1 as a tool to come to the US in 8 months from the beginning of working on a case. Okay? So, option number 2 is when we have to come to the US fast. So, speed is of the essence. Okay? So, number 1 is that's the only option we have. Number 2, we have to do it fast. What is number 3? Because usually I use only the first 2. But I like to simplify things, okay? But for the purpose of today's stream, there is the third option, guys, when we can use O-1 and compare it to EB-2 NIW. When we have EB-2 NIW, but yet it's less stronger of the case, because it could be a strong case if we come to the US and start developing our idea for EB-2 NIW to make it stronger. So what is the option then? Because we need to come and work. O-1 is the option. So basically, in some cases, and guys, trust me on this, it does happen. It doesn't happen too often, but I would give it 15 to 20% of my cases for O-1. That's the preparation for EB-2 NIW. And you want to ask, Stanislav, but why don't you move the case in EB-1A direction? Well, sometimes it's impossible, or very hard, or very expensive, or doesn't make sense. Okay? But those are good questions if you guys ask them. Those are good questions. So basically, reason number 1, that's the only option, and we're talking about O-1, when we have to get that. Reason number 2, we need to bring you fast to the US. And reason number 3, it's the first step in preparing to file EB-2 NIW. Okay? So now, let's talk more about the third option, because the first two, I think it's kind of clear. Okay? It's not really clear with the third one, so let's discuss this one. And I see Juan. Juan is trying to ask a question, but he puts it in, then he rereads it as like, oh no, that's not what I'm saying. Juan, no problem, take your time, no worries. We have about 20-30 minutes more. So, O-1 as the first step for EB-2 NIW. And let's go by way of example. What kind of idea needs to be developed a little bit more to get a better case for EB-2 NIW? For example, let's use IT specialist who wants to develop a platform to use artificial intelligence to analyze the cancer patients' X-rays or MRIs. Okay? And maybe it's not the best example, but it's a good start. It's a good start. So, and why it's not the best example? Because I think without O-1, it has a very good chance of approval. Okay? Especially if we have a good track record of doing that in the past. But let's say we want to have a slam dunk case. So that means that we want to come to the US, start this project, connect to hospitals, doctors, and maybe other IT specialists to start this project. How are we going to start it? We're going to get a bunch of doctors, oncologists, to use our platform for EB-2 NIW purposes to help them with diagnostics of the cancer patients. Maybe as a second opinion, because still there is some mistrust in AI yet. But guys, trust me, I have a lot of cases with AI. This is insane what's happening right now. Literally insane. Something big is coming, just in general, from AI standpoint. Crazy development. So soon, those doctors are gonna use only AI to do this, because the accuracy between AI and a doctor is scary. It's scary, guys, okay? Because AI hits it 100%. A doctor hits it like 90%. Okay? With the proper diagnostic. Both ways as to saying there's a cancer or saying there's no cancer. Okay? So 10% of X-rays and MRIs are not diagnosed properly. And this is huge. Okay? So whatever. It's a little different topic. So we need to show that this platform, this technology is being used, because if we have the use of our idea that we propose for EB-2 NIW, it's a much better case. Why? Because it's a better, well-positioned criterion, okay? And well-positioned in NIW is huge. It's huge. Let's propose another example. Let's go back to the pilots from Brazil. Okay, pilots from Brazil. So it's a much better case if a pilot from Brazil proposes not only piloting an aircraft, but also doing compliance for the companies, and or teaching other pilots, right? So if that pilot gets O-1 visa first, comes to the US, and already shows how he does the compliance for the companies and or teaches other pilots to do the piloting work, okay, this is going to be a much stronger case for EB-2 NIW to show to the immigration officer, hey officer, not only we propose the idea of doing those things, we have done them and we are doing them right now. See the results. So that is why O-1 serves as a good trampoline, as a good start to enforce your EB-2 NIW visa. Okay? And trust me guys, it works. Okay, so let's see. Juan, hi Stanislav, hi Juan. I'm completed my PhD in Brazil. Guys, when I hear PhD, for me it's equivalent of a green card. Okay? I could stop here to say, to tell Juan that's gonna be a green card. Okay? But let's see what else. I'm concerned about whether my degree will be recognized as equivalent in the US. My university is highly regarded in Brazil. Juan, trust me, that's not the issue. But I'm worried about potential validation issues. How can I ensure that my degree will be accepted without problems? So, Juan, really good question. You must be concerned with that only if you are thinking about EB-2 NIW exceptionally, right? Only EB-2 NIW, and let's say you wanna propose the idea of continuing your research on whatever your PhD is in. Okay, that's a good EB-2 NIW. I'm gonna get you approved, but Juan, do not disregard the option of EB-1A. I have probably close to 30, 40 cases with PhDs approved for EB-1A. And maybe 2-3 cases for EB-2 NIW. Not because I cannot get you EB-2 NIW with PhD. No, I can, and I will. But you will have to wait altogether maybe up to 3 years to get your green card under EB-2 NIW. And a year and a half the most for EB-1A. Okay? And let me explain why I think EB-1A is superior to EB-2 NIW for the purpose of PhD. So if you have PhD Juan, and you said you do, that means you have a dissertation, okay? And you defended it, most likely. I don't know the policies in Brazil, but I will assume that PhD is not given without defending the dissertation, the PhD dissertation, right? So your PhD dissertation will go to contribution in the field, publications, and maybe in the awards. Okay? So that's number one. Number two, to have the PhD and dissertation, you probably had to draft at least 5 publications, research papers, maybe more, maybe 10. So all of them are going into publication criterion. So we have at least 2, maybe 3 criteria for the purpose of EB-1A. Then you worked in a university or some kind of lab or probably maybe a company where you applied your knowledge, or you worked with your professor doing research for him. So this is critical role. So it's 3 or maybe 4. you probably did the peer review of others people scientific publications. That's the judging the work of others, judging. So it's 4 or maybe 5 criteria. If you spoke at the conferences and you delivered your thesis, your publication, and it was later published, that's awards. So that's 5. You know, we had dissertation as award maybe, but with the conferences, it's 5. And trust me, you'll get the press writing about you. That's gonna be 6. So, Juan, let me know if I'm close to what's happening in your career. And if I am, and I'm pretty sure I am, that's the green card for EB-1A. You don't need EB-2 NIW. You need EB-1A. Okay? So let me know, Juan. I'm just curious. I'm curious if of course, I'm not going to be 100% right. Maybe. But I'm sure pretty close. And in this format, in this analysis, we don't really, we do need the evaluation of your diploma. Sure, I'll take it. But it's not the center of your petition. Okay? So that's what's going on. And guys, remember, a free evaluation of your case is the first step for you to know what's going on with your case. If you have a good case, if you don't have a good case, if you have potential or not. I'm gonna drop you the links for talent visas, free evaluation, and EB-2 NIW. So the first one is talent visa. The second one is NIW. Do it now. Okay? Do it now. Don't postpone it till the weekend, till your kid comes back from school, till you get your salary, till you drink a beer at the bar. No. Do it now, guys. In 2 days, I'll get back to you with analysis of your case for free. Okay? So it takes you 15 minutes, but it may play a significant role in your life. Juan, you first of all, you gotta be the first one to do this. Okay. Yes, Juan, you can contact me by mail. Sure, but before that, fill out the form. Okay, fill out the form because PhDs are in a huge demand in the US. Okay, if you guys heard that at some point, and it's still kind of lurking in the back, the US wants to give automatic green cards to the students who got PhD in the US. Okay? And again, it may never happen, but the fact itself that PhD may get or could have get a green card by the fact of having the PhD is huge for understanding how much value that has for the purpose of EB-1A and EB-2 NIW. Okay? So let's discuss one more point, guys. I want to discuss one more point and then I'll let you go. So, in which case I will want to skip O-1 before getting EB-2 NIW. Okay? Because we discussed what purpose is served by means of filing O-1A before filing EB-2 NIW. And in short, I'll remind you, that's to strengthen basically the case for EB-2 NIW by coming to the US and starting the proposed endeavor, the proposed project. Okay? In which case, we don't have to do this. we can skip this step. That's when your proposed project is so strong that we don't have to do this. Okay? Let me give you an example. 2 weeks ago, we got an approval for engineer who is a subway engineer. Okay? And not that subway where you guys go get your your sandwich. Not that subway. The subway when you go underground and take the train to get to the destination. That subway. So he's been subway engineer for years. At least 15 years of experience. And he participated in building a bunch of huge metro stations, subway stations, and he was involved in optimization of the current subway infrastructure in Moscow. Okay? So his endeavor was to do the same thing for the New York subway system. To modernize it, optimize it, and build the new stations. Okay? This endeavor is so strong, is so powerful, that without any support from whoever, the construction companies, the other engineers, the city of New York, the state of New York, from anyone, just because of his expertise in this area, in this field, which is very rare in itself. The case is so strong that we got approved without all this additional evidence, which I want to see in EB-2 and NIW. I want to see someone in the US saying, hey, I want this guy expertise because I cannot find it. Or if I can, it's just, I cannot afford it. Okay? So that's what makes EB-2 and NIW very strong. When we can show that someone in the US wants you. Okay? But sometimes the cases are so good that we don't need that. We don't need that. So which cases, what are the conceptual examples of EB-2 and NIW when we can file it straightforward and get approved? So the first concept I already explained, when there is a very rare talent, rare profession, which in itself is so valuable that we don't need any support from the US. Number two, when the project, the proposed project is already operational and is working, and bringing that resolution to whatever problem it was supposed to resolve. Okay, so that's number two, a ready project that's already showing the results. And number three, when we still have the idea, I would rather say an idea, whatever that idea is, and the funding of that idea. So let's say we want to open up a company that's going to provide cybersecurity solutions to American banking system. Okay, and we have that solution ready, but it needs some more development to be more custom made for the US banks, which requires $500,000. So the idea is still fresh and new, but if we have that $500,000 on the account, that's gonna help tremendously. Okay, tremendously. So either great idea with a huge potential of impact, or operational idea with the results, or three, when we have the finance to show that we will be able to use that to implement that idea. And there is more, guys. There are more cases, concepts, but those three are most common, most used by me. Okay? All right. So let's summarize. If you're from Brazil or any other country and you want to get EB-2 NIW, your first question to yourself must be, do I fall with my EB-2 NIW within those three ideas where I have a really strong case? Huge impact, finance, or working product. If you don't fall within those three things, your next question, should I get O-1 first, come to the US, start my project, and then file EB-2 NIW? And for some of you guys, that would be the way to go. Okay? That would be the way to go. All right. So guys, go to the free evaluation links. I got you the talent and NIW. Those are going to be really good. Okay? You'll invest 15 minutes of your time into the generational future. Okay? That's how I see it. And guys, I'm not making it up. It's true. Okay? Because if I see the potential in your case, I will then invite you to the complex immigration planning, where I will build the strategy of your case in writing, and you will have it. And the next step is hiring my team and myself to implement that strategy. Okay? So it's 1, 2, 3. All right, guys, I'll give you 10 more seconds to drop any question regarding what I was discussing today, or whatever you guys want. Or if you want to just thank me and say, Stanislav, it was a great stream, I really appreciate you, and things like that. That's acceptable too. So let me give you 10-15 seconds to do one of those. All right. Juan says thanks. Juan, my pleasure. The goal of my company is to bring 10,000 people to the US by the year 2030. We are about 25, maybe 30% in of this goal. So, if any of you will come to the US through us, you guys are going to be serving a huge service to the goal that we have. And that would be a win-win for everybody. My name is Stanislav Shamayev. I'm a lawyer of the future. Your future begins here. Good luck.